Michelle's all-time winningest coach in program history, boasting a 340 wins versus 124 losses. Career record, averaging 28 wins per season with 8 30-win seasons, including a dominant 42-win campaign in 2022. Under Coach Michelle, the Warriors have captured multiple NJCAA Region 11 and Midwest District Championships, consistently ranking among the nation's best. In total, she has coached 11 NJCAA All-Americans and developed 32 All-Region selections, all while maintaining a strong academic tradition with 38 NJCAA All-Academic honorees. A former standout athlete and accomplished coach, Coach Michelle continues to elevate Indian Hills volleyball to national prominence, building a legacy of success both on and off the court. She resides in Oskaloosa with her husband Roldo and their 3 kids, Mason, Miley, and Mara. Please help me welcome Coach Lyndsey Michelle. And as most coaches are used to, she said, I really don't need a mic, but I'll use it.
And with that said, when I'm yelling through you at the speaker, give me because I don't mean to yell at you for the next 15 minutes, right? But anyway, just want to start out by saying what an honor it is to be here tonight. It's always such a great space when you're surrounded by people who understand what it means to sacrifice, serve, and contribute to building something so much bigger than themselves. When I asked Mr. Lennox, Eric, what I should speak on tonight, he alluded to sharing things about success at Indian Hills volleyball. I do not have a secret sauce for success. How easy would that be, right? So when I went to write about success, my brain started doing what it does best, spinning circles, going foggy, blacking out. What is success really? For some, success is landing the $1 million bid on the big project down the road, winning district and state championships, or seeing their name etched into the record books throughout the EBF hallways. All incredible things. But for others, success is just making it through the day, and that doesn't escape myself or my volleyball team. From learning that my kid, Myra over there, fish hooked himself during an away game, not just the one, claw kind. He was waiting in the ER, awaiting removal. One came back out the way it went in, the other one went all the way through. He looked like a Christmas tree. Talk about mom guilt. Or homesick, heartbroken, exhausted student athletes just wondering how they can manage it all. If I had to guess, some of us here right now are in survival mode, praying just to get through the next challenge, the next game, the next season of life. And that's okay. Because success isn't a one-size-fits-all. It looks different for everyone. But no matter what success looks like to you, one thing is true of all of us. It's not honestly about where we finish, it's about where we show up. How do we meet those proverbial homesick freshmen, heartbroken, mentally and physically drained volleyball players? How do we meet them right where they are? You see, the older we get, we go through more life. We understand that the big breakup, that silly roommate spat, or that failed math test, we know now that those aren't big things. But we meet them where they are. We show up, we remember how that felt way back then, and we help them through. Because we understand that there's light at the end of that very dark and lonely tunnel that they're facing right now. Success isn't just about talent or ability. It's about showing up day after day when no one is watching. I'll share a story about my little brother. He showed up. 2008, my brother was entering his senior year of high school and excited to play all the ways for the football team that year, offensively, defensively, special teams. I wasn't going to say go Beavers, because I think maybe around here, hurdler? Are you the hurdler? Yeah. Loggerman? Yeah, okay. We know about the Golden Beavers. Okay. 2008, my brother was entering his senior year of high school, and it excited to play all the ways. 2008, the middle of a recession. The Cedar River demolished 500-year floodplains, tore through our livelihood, and completely washed out Highway 6 a quarter mile past our farm, turning what should have been a quick 10-minute drive into town into a 2-hour detour to the next bridge north that hadn't been washed out. Our home, our 1,000-head dairy, was already facing major jeopardy of bank foreclosure. But instead of using that as an excuse, my brother hopped on his bike. Every morning he'd pedal down to the newly created river crossing, waded the knee-deep water with his bike over his head, and then continued, water over his head just to get to the other side. And then he continued to ride his bike another couple miles to the crossroads where his buddy could pick him up. Some days, not often, that buddy didn't show. So, what did he do? He just kept riding 10 miles alone in the heat of the summer just to make it to 6 a.m. waits. As a coach, I just always wondered if he was catching grief for being late. During the awards banquet, after their very successful season's end, they handed out the weightlifting award. Who do you think got it? Not the kid who rode his bike 10 miles every day. Not the one who never made an excuse. Not the one who worked hard on the farm all day and volunteered for the fire department by night. Another side note, Logan actually was called upon by his head coach, who was another on the volunteer department, when they happened upon a car accident on their way to Friday Night Lights. The award went to the buddy who picked him up halfway on the days he didn't feel like sleeping in. That's life, isn't it? You don't always get recognized for the work you put in, but if that's all we're looking for, we aren't doing this whole thing, the success thing, right. Success isn't about recognition, it's about commitment. My brother's success wasn't in an award. It was in discipline, the perseverance, the relentless refusal to quit. I'd be remiss to not tell you he was recognized for the Citizenship Award during graduation ceremony that spring. I can still hear my dad sobbing like a baby. I've seen this play out in so many ways, not just in my brother, but in my own home. When my husband transferred to the University of Wyoming to complete his Division I football journey, they took him straight to surgery. Labrum tear, the very last hit of his final JUCO bowl game. So during the healing process for your labrum in your shoulder, you have to sleep sitting up. Okay, and they moved out his bed, they let him to sleep in a recliner, just overall pretty miserable from the get-go. Sunny South Florida kid, freezing cold Laramie, Wyoming, where there's in fact no air. No air. You see the NFL guys when they come to play the Broncos in Denver, sucking on the oxygen mask. Okay, a mile high for the Broncos, 5,280 feet. You guys, it's even higher. 7,160 feet above sea level in Laramie. The oxygen in Denver, thin. The oxygen in Laramie, completely non-existent. Homesick, injured, no coach to call friend yet, just a bad start. During a game day visit that next fall, I came across a note sitting on the top of his dresser, a performance evaluation. Now my husband, he can lift buses. He's a big, strong dude. I asked him if he was gonna flex for us tonight, he kind of waved me off, so we won't go into that. But big, strong dude. He's not a yeller, he's not a screamer, even in the weight room. It's just not his height. He didn't fit the weightlifting coach's mold. And that evaluation that I found, it read, not NFL ready. I don't know if he kept it on the dresser for motivation, or if that was just as far as the toss took it on its way to the trash can. But bet your bottom dollar that would not be his destiny. Because Mr. Not NFL ready, he became celebrity status that next fall when he recovered a fumble against the Texas Longhorns his senior year. The comeback kid. That's what they called him as they plastered him all over Laramie newspapers and news channels. And that weight room coach, his new best buddy. And that next evaluation, pro day ready. Like my brother, my husband wasn't in his success. He built it through perseverance, through showing up even when it seemed impossible. And isn't that what we want for every athlete, every young person that we mentor? To learn that success isn't about avoiding setbacks, it's about how we respond in the face of adversity. And I challenge to every coach, every mentor, every boss in this room would be to understand that your athletes are putting in, I challenge you, understand that your athletes may be putting in hours in the dark that you're not seeing. And don't wait for the fumble recovery to make them feel like they matter. And then there's my dad. For 35 years with my mom and our family they created, he worked the land, built a life on it, and poured everything into our family farm. But that year, 2008, with the recession, financial setbacks, all-time low milk prices, the flood, we lost it all. Cows left the farm in what felt like a funeral procession, semi-load by semi-load, slowly leaving the end of the lane. It was inevitably the end of our world. I watched it break him, the stress, the heartbreak, it weighed on him in ways that we couldn't fully understand. He died just a few years later, 5 months before my first baby was born. An aggressive bowel cancer took him quickly, but at the funeral, we referred to the cause of death, a broken heart. My dad wasn't just a farmer. He was a man of faith who wasn't afraid to meet Jesus, who served his neighbors, his community, the stranded family with a flat tire, without ever asking for anything in return. And in the end, when the farm was gone and he graduated earthside to heaven, where I'm certain he's met Jesus, what remained was his legacy, one of service, of sacrifice, of dirty manure boots, standing in the back doorway of our little country church, and of giving everything he had to the people around him. And this is where I went from an angry young adult who was in the profession of just coaching volleyball, a career I never even considered or planned on, to a young wife and a new mother leading young women who needed the same empathy I was now in dire need of. Did I mention I have an ag business degree? My entire life would have been dedicated to caring for the maternity pen on our family dairy. But that funeral procession of semi-trailers full of cows I spoke of earlier, that didn't hold a flame to losing my dad. Because success isn't about what we accumulate, it's about what we leave behind. I lost my dad, but I didn't lose his lessons. They live on in me, in my children, in my players, and in every person I meet who needs someone to show up for them. There are moments in life that define who we are, moments that shake us, that strip away the noise, and show us what really matters. Another one of those moments that comes to mind was with a player of mine. Her grandpa, her biggest fan, had been in a terrible rollover accident. We got her on a flight home to Alaska so she could say her final goodbyes. That was no small feat. She was a rad tech student with sanctioned hours to fulfill, and we had a lot of work cut out to make all the details happen. Took 18 plus hours to fly one way to get back to Alaska. Again, no small feat, and definitely not the relaxing kind of Alaskan getaway that most people would look forward to. She questioned if she should even go. I recall the times I wish I could call Dad in that moment. Josie, yes, you are going. You'll hold his hands, you'll kiss his cheeks, say I love you in abundance, remind him how brave he is facing his final days. You'll leave nothing unsaid. You are going. She was home less than 24 hours to say her goodbyes. In order to fly back, for clinical makeups she had arranged with our rad tech gal. She got back to campus, unsure of what the future held for her grandpa. And then, just 4 days later, while standing in the training room after practice, she got the call. She didn't say a word. She didn't have to. She couldn't. I can still see her, barrel running straight at me, no words, tears streaming down her face, only gasping for air. Right there we collapsed together on the floor outside the training room. Still no words, only an embrace. What mattered was presence, understanding, being there. I met her where she was, where it was all too familiar, where I had already been and so badly never wanted to be again. But I vow never, ever to leave anyone there alone. That's my definition of success. That's what leadership is to me. Not just pushing people to be better, but standing in the gap when life gets hard. And that's why tonight's so important. You, the parents, the volunteers, the sponsors, the people who show up to these small town extracurriculars and athletic programs year after year, pouring into these kids. You are creating success, not in the form of trophies, but in the opportunities you give these kids. Meeting them right where they're at, meeting their needs over and over again. Because of you, they have uniforms, they have equipment, they have the chance to stand under the bright lights, to be part of something so much bigger than themselves, to learn lessons that will carry them through life. Because of you, they will look back years from now, not at the wins and losses, but at the people who made them believe in themselves. Many of you may be very undercover or completely behind the scenes. You might not be on the court, on the field, in the locker room, but make no mistake. Every victory, every lesson, every life changed starts with you. So tonight I ask you personally, what will define your success? Not just as athletes, but as leaders, as teammates, as parents, as a community. Success isn't just about the moments that get written in the record books. It's about the ones that are stamped on your students' hearts. It's about the bike rides that no one sees, the moments of leadership that don't come with awards. Some of you will measure success in championships. Some of you will measure it in simply surviving. For me, it's not about crystal and shiny hardware on my trophy shelf. I've moved those out of the way for the handwritten letters from former athletes, my girls, my family. Letters that say, Coach, you changed me, you believed in myself, you made me believe in myself, and you never gave up on me. Coach, come walk with me for my senior day. Or even, Coach, will you be our witness to sign for our marriage? You want to be a bridesmaid? And my most favorite, Coach, come hold my sweet baby. I really like holding babies. Again, at the end of the day, success isn't about trophies, it's about the lives we touch. The moments we stand in the gap for others, the legacy we leave behind. And so I leave you with this. Success isn't measured in trophies and fame, not in the echoes of crowds chanting your name. It's found in the moments no one else sees, in the quiet persistence, the shaking in your knees. It's the bike rides at dawn, 10 miles alone, through floodwaters rising, through paths overgrown. Not for the medals, not for the prize, but because quitting was never the way to rise. It's the weight room whisper, not NFL ready. A label, a doubt, but your heart stayed steady until the world saw what you always knew, that success is built when you push through. It's a daughter who watches the farm slip away, semi by semi, a slow funeral parade. A father's hands worn deep by cattle and land. A legacy lives on, you bet he still stands. It's meeting the broken, the weary, the weak, holding them close when they can't even speak. It's being the rock when their world's fallen apart, carrying their grief in the depths of your heart. Success isn't just banners that hang in the gym, not etched into record books, but written within. It's found in the letters, the lives that you touch, the whispered thank yous that matter so much. So stand in the fire, keep lighting the way, for success that lasts is a love that will stay. I thank you for the legacy you are building for our community. And those that it's serving, I promise you they thank you too. Thank you.